Here's the moment this story has been building toward. The event that most people remember as corporate drama, but that was actually something far more significant. The moment the last safety net was torn apart. On November 17, 2023, the OpenAI board of directors did something almost unheard of in Silicon Valley. They fired their own CEO, Sam Altman. No warning, no public explanation, just a brief statement saying that Altman had not been consistently candid with the board and that they had lost confidence in his ability to lead. The tech world erupted. Headlines screamed, stock markets trembled, and inside OpenAI, chaos broke out. Now, in the days that followed, the narrative was shaped almost entirely by Altman's supporters. They painted the board as reckless, out of touch, a group of idealistic academics who did not understand business and had just fired the most successful CEO in AI history for vague, personal reasons. Social media rallied behind Altman. Microsoft publicly backed him. Over 700 of OpenAI's 770 employees signed a letter threatening to quit unless Altman was reinstated and the board resigned. And within 96 hours, it was over. Altman was back as CEO. The board members who had fired him were gone, replaced by new directors who were far more aligned with the commercial direction of the company. The brake pedal, the one designed to protect humanity, was not just loosened, it was removed entirely and thrown into the garbage. But here is what nobody talked about. Why did the board fire Altman in the first place? The full answer has never been made completely public, and that itself should alarm you. But the pieces that have emerged paint a disturbing picture. Board members reportedly had growing concerns about the pace of development. They worried that safety protocols were being compressed to meet commercial deadlines. They feared that OpenAI was racing toward AGI without adequate safeguards, not because it was the responsible thing to do, but because the financial pressure to be first was overwhelming. There were also concerns about transparency. The board felt that Altman was not sharing critical information about the capabilities of new models, about partnerships, about the direction of the company. In an organization where the board's entire purpose was to serve as a safety check, being kept in the dark was not a minor issue. It was an existential threat to the structure. So, they did the one thing they had the power to do. They removed the CEO. It was the mechanism working exactly as it was designed to work. The safety board identified a potential risk and took decisive action to address it. And then the mechanism was destroyed. Not by a technical failure, not by a flaw in the design, but by the sheer force of money. Microsoft's $13 billion in investment gave it enormous leverage. The employees who threatened to quit were not just loyal to Altman, they were holding stock options worth millions of dollars each, options that would become worthless if the company collapsed. The financial incentives were overwhelmingly, crushingly aligned against the safety board. This is the part of the story that keeps me awake at night. It was not that the safety system failed on its own, it is that the safety system worked and was punished for working. The people who tried to protect you, who tried to slow things down and ask hard questions, were not rewarded for their courage. They were publicly humiliated, stripped of their positions, and erased from the organization they had tried to safeguard. What replaced them was a board designed for speed, a board designed for growth, a board designed to keep investors happy and products shipping. The nonprofit shell remained, technically, but it was now a mask covering a face that had completely changed. And if you think Elon Musk was watching this unfold as a concerned citizen of humanity, think again. By the time Altman was fired and reinstated, Musk had already launched his own AI company called xAI. He was building his own models, recruiting his own engineers, and racing toward AGI with the same breakneck speed he accused Altman of pursuing. Musk's lawsuits against OpenAI were not about saving the nonprofit mission. They were about eliminating a competitor while wrapping himself in the flag of public safety. Both players had now revealed their cards. Neither one was the guardian of humanity. Both were racing to build God, and they wanted to be the one holding the remote control. The brake pedal is gone. The car is accelerating, and you and I are strapped into the back seat.
Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Maybe I am being too dramatic. Maybe this is just business as usual. Companies change direction all the time. Founders get fired and come back. Boards get reshuffled. That is just how Silicon Valley works, right? So let me lay out the concrete evidence, the numbers, the documents, the facts that transform this from an opinion into a verdict. First, the money. When OpenAI was founded in 2015, its total funding was around $1 billion in pledges, mostly from Musk and a handful of other donors. That money was meant to last for years, funding careful, deliberate research. By 2024, OpenAI had raised over $13 billion from Microsoft alone, with additional billions from other investors. Its valuation soared past $150 billion. And in recent funding rounds, the valuation discussion reached numbers approaching or exceeding $1 trillion. In less than a decade, a charity became one of the most valuable companies on Earth. Show me another nonprofit in history that has done that. You cannot, because none has. Because what happened is not a nonprofit success story. It is a corporate takeover disguised as a charitable mission. Second, the structure. OpenAI's original charter explicitly stated that its primary duty was to humanity, not to investors. But in December 2024, the company announced plans to fully convert from its hybrid nonprofit for-profit structure to a standard for-profit corporation. Let that sink in. The legal framework that was supposed to keep safety above profit is being dissolved. The very architecture designed to protect you is being demolished by the people who were supposed to maintain it. Third, the research. In its early years, OpenAI published its findings openly. The scientific community could review, critique, and improve upon their work. This transparency was a core part of the safety strategy. If other researchers could see what OpenAI was building, they could also spot dangers. But starting around 2019, OpenAI began restricting access to its most advanced models. GPT-2 was initially withheld from public release because OpenAI said it was too dangerous. That sounds responsible until you realize that the decision was also commercially convenient. By controlling access, OpenAI could control the market. Safety and profit were pointing in the same direction, and it became impossible to tell which motive was driving the decisions. Fourth, the departures. Over the past few years, a remarkable number of senior safety researchers have left OpenAI. These were not random employees. These were the people specifically hired to make sure the technology did not cause harm. When the safety team members of an AI company leave or are sidelined, that is not a human resources issue. That is a fire alarm going off in a building full of people. Fifth, the competition. OpenAI is no longer the only player. Google has Gemini, Musk has Grok through xAI, Meta has released its own open-source models. Anthropic, founded by former OpenAI researchers who left specifically because of safety concerns, is building its own systems. The race to AGI now involves at least 5 major players, each pouring billions of dollars into development. And when you have a race, the incentive is not to be the safest, the incentive is to be the fastest. Every competitor justifies cutting corners by pointing to the others. If we slow down, they'll get there first. It is the logic of an arms race, and arms races do not have a good track record when it comes to human safety. Sixth, and perhaps most chilling, look at the public statements. In interviews, Sam Altman has acknowledged that AGI could pose serious risks to humanity. He has compared it to nuclear technology. He has called for government regulation, and yet he continues to accelerate development. He continues to raise billions. He continues to push toward the very thing he publicly admits could be dangerous. It's like watching someone warn you about the danger of fire while pouring gasoline on the floor. These are not conspiracy theories. These are documented facts drawn from public filings, published interviews, and the words of the people involved. The evidence does not whisper, it screams. The only question remaining is what, if anything, we can do about it.